Will sure be interesting on what they can accomplish at the end of the last offset intersection and how they may be able to time those lights. That's, that's whatever they did in Columbus on Broad Street. That's fantastic. I mean,
You can start, if you hit one, you can go
almost all the way downtown and never.
Okay, you ready? Go ahead.
The first item on the agenda is the acceptance of the dedication of right-of-way from the Lincoln County Humane Society. Our rules and regs require them to dedicate 30 feet of right-of-way along their strip on Thornwood Drive for future expansion.
Okay, Dick.
Dedication class there, if you guys want to look at it.
Brian's not here yet. Go ahead, if you want to.
The second item, during the right-of-way acquisitions for the 79 project, the Attorney General's office was handling cases on our behalf. One of the properties in particular, the Sheffield property, which I think was the old Power Master property, they racked up $35,224 roughly for their fees, of which 80% of that we get reimbursed, which comes to around $28,000. Of that reimbursed amount, we're requesting that $10,000 goes towards our zoning, or back into our zoning, but $5,000 and then that'll leave approximately $13,000 back in the general fund.
Eddie, are those the funds that the money came out of originally as that process was going along? Okay.
One of those funds is the service department.
Okay. We already got that check deposited, didn't we?
I don't know.
Okay. Is that your understanding, Eddie, that we already got that check and have deposited it?
To be honest, I'm not sure if we've gotten it yet.
Okay. Okay.
John didn't mention.
All right. I guess that's kind of the reason why I'm asking. If we've gotten it, then we can transfer it. If we haven't gotten it, can we transfer it?
The answer would be yes. You actually could.
Okay. Just transfer from the general fund, and then when the I see.
Yeah, I would bet we wouldn't be looking at this legislation unless it was here.
Okay.
So we got 13,000 total back, huh?
What's that?
We got 13,179.40.
Yeah, that's what would be left over.
Yeah. But the total the check amount, the total reimbursement is 28 something.
Yeah. Okay, it's number 3.
The next item on the agenda, the City of Newark has been selected to handle what the state is calling the Moving Ohio Forward demolition program. It's a grant program set up to demolish blighted, abandoned, or vacant properties. What we have to do is go ahead and enter an agreement with Newark, give them the right to take care of their administrative program for us on our behalf.
Still the same ones that we talked about before.
Yeah, two of them, well, one of them I know has been taken off list, the owner called today and asked for the review. And I believe there was another one that was on there that one on the, he wants to try
The one where the
and
photo
fix
is.
it up.
So that's taken off.
Keep looking.
He wants to try to fix it up himself. Current zoning regulations are that that lot would be too small to build a residence on today. But if there's something there, you can rehab it and it still would qualify as being able to be a residence. So the owner has indicated to the city that he would like to do that. John told me, he notified the owner, okay, fine. You're going to be getting notices if you're not making good progress toward rehabbing it. And the other one is the one on, what's that one up by John? Ethel? Yeah. And it could not go through on this program. I want to say because it's still, it's the location where I believe there was a homicide.
The guy just killed his wife out of 68.
And so we can't
It's
demolish that.
reimbursable.
It's in some other kind of,
Where's that at?
on Ethel. So two of the properties that were originally submitted cannot proceed with being demolished as part of this program.
Is everyone familiar with this? One of them is the down here on 79, the old drive-through theater. That structure right outside it, and all of the surrounding buildings are on one of them. The other one's at the intersection of Grandview and 2nd Street. That's the one that sits way back off the road. There's a fence all the way around.
You want the airmail sign?
Yeah.
I love that mail.
Yeah.
That mailbox would be our mail sign. But that is scheduled. Do you have any idea when
That's
they're
on
gonna
the
do it?
list. I'm not sure when. I think it has to be done by December 2014. So, yeah.
Okay.
There was another half to that legislation requesting that $60,000 be appropriated since the program's set up on a reimbursement basis. We got to fund the money initially, so we got to spend $30,000 to cover these expenses.
Please, question here.
Okay.
Eddie, do you know what happens between the property owner and the state or federal government, whoever's funding this ultimately? Does this get added to their taxes or cost of demolition, or, you know, in the case of like the drive-in theater, I know that they have a asbestos issue in regards to that screen and so forth, and tearing that down was a significant cost because of the mitigation of asbestos. That's obviously some very valuable State Route 79 fronted property. What does the property owner just get all this stuff torn down for free? Wow.
Is that the property that Myers is looking at?
I don't know.
I think that's what we heard. A few years.
So I own this property. There's a dilapidated building on it. I can have the dilapidated building removed for free, and yet then it's still my property and I can do whatever I wish with it.
Actually increase the value. Appreciate the market.
Yeah, because you demolished the building.
That's the biggest
Wayne was at
detriment. Sellability. Only in America.
Only in America.
I can abandon it.
There's a house on Indian Head Drive I'd like to put up. Why would you
The log house? The log house?
Kind of a silent boom.
Slow Scott like that was gone. I believe you, I know. Complains all the time about that.
One of the prices you're talking
$60,000 put into
Myron price, the guy that owned that?
60,000 would be
Huh, I didn't know.
Logical.
Hey Eddie, this
Eddie,
this is Mark Motter's office in Newark that's handling this program. Is that right? Okay.
They give us pay it back. Come to a meeting, it's back. Didn't come to a meeting.
We got a front loader, but the money's there, as soon as it's demolished, we'll get the money back.
That's what they agreed on.
So if we do it, they're gonna take it.
Not about this program.
That's, you know, that is a terrible deal, because you know that property's worth a couple $1 million probably. And I know they had opportunities, I think, to sell it in the past, but they were holding out for more money. It's like, you know, there should be some, what we should do is create an ordinance. If there is one, they're trying to do something to force them to clean it up. We've got the money to do it, if they don't, sell it, clean it up. It's terribly easy to actually.
No question.
If it does ultimately make the market or if it does make the property more marketable, I can imagine worse use of tax dollars here and there, but I understand what you're
It's
saying.
don't cost us, though.
Huh?
As long as it don't cost you that.
It does. It cost us all.
Huh?
Where'd the money come from?
We borrow
From out there.
I don't expect that. Jim?
Yeah, go ahead. Keep me.
Wish I was a little later. I'm done.
Maybe for next month, Eddie, let's if we can find from Mark what the time schedule, what the time frame is for the properties that are going to be in the program for Heath, that might be
You might have a
beneficial.
better idea once we get all this.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see if we can do that.
Well, I think I'll go down to Newark and try to buy that Westinghouse building.
Price it down part of
The one with the wall missing?
Yeah. Well, it looks like it might be a bargain.
Yeah.
The next item is just a grass cut violation report to be forwarded down to the county auditor's office.
Did somebody's grass growing?
Cutting report?
Watch the move.
4 of them on
People's
there.
yard, they gotta pay for it, tear their house down.
Okay.
That's fine.
Where you go thinking logic? Maybe common sense is important.
Probably a federal grant paying for somebody with water to grass on those properties.
Watch. None on the right eye.
Which wood is, which wood's not on the list?
Is it 55?
55.
It's on the west, which actually just got redone.
I moved in Florida, went out west. I haven't been since. I came back up there,
It's more than a month for me.
Coming
I
from
know.
Franklin.
I have a low spot by the front of the house that grows even now. I
There
just
were
know
two on
that.
that road, one was on the left,
Up by the street.
further down
That's it.
underneath Pine Creek, there was one on the road. It might be on the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for one vacation. Other than once.
Bridge inspections.
ODOT and Federal Highway require the city to have bridge inspections done annually. This is just basically an FYI for you guys, but Joe Henderson is currently doing those bridge inspections. And the cost of their services, for your information, is $5,100.
You got to me again, Eddie? I'm sorry.
$5,100.
Okay, thanks.
That should be completed in the next 6 weeks. There were 13 total bridges, culverts, and tunnels that had been inspected.
We could have been to a school. We were the state and federal, and the waterfront. Yeah, good.
15 bridges you said, huh?
13.
13.
Hey, real quick, Eddie, on that grass cutting thing, do you want that read tonight? So, okay, because it went on it's not on the thing, petition communication,
Agenda.
wet it. Agenda's a wet it. I just remembered to add that, okay. Get a copy to Lynn. Over here.
Bless you.
River roundup.
Yeah, the Soil and Water Conservation District puts on what they call the River Roundup every year, or every 7 years, whenever they can. It's basically just a bunch of volunteers going out and collecting trash along the riverways. They have asked the city to go out and collect the trash bags the day after the event. So it's pretty much just for you guys' information. It's going to be held on September 8th this year. So they're trying to get people to volunteer for that.
Get the bags on Monday, or do they want them on Saturday?
What's that?
They want them on Monday or on Saturday?
They'll do the roundup on Saturday, leave them out, and then we'll pick them up on Monday.
Okay. Number 7.
The rescheduled fireworks, September 2nd. I guess it's going to be called the end of summer / construction season celebration. That's going to be held on September 2nd. Everything's set up for it. The only things that won't be there for that event will be inflatables, the Columbus crew, and the Columbus jackets. But everything else is been planned and set up. Just going through the advertising right now. So.
There are also some organizations who were going to take part in the Kids First Fest, which was going to take place the week following, that we just kind of folded into this event also. So there were some vendors that were unique for Kids First Fest. There were some that were going to be at both the July 2nd and the September 9th event. It didn't seem to make sense to have them there on September 2nd and September 9th, so we just decided to kind of fold it in. Another reason why we decided to fold it in, this goes to a broader issue. We are not getting enough citizens to volunteer for these committees to make these kind of events happen. The Star Spangled Celebration Committee this year, and it's for the most part the same the same people that have been doing it for the past 10 or 15 years. The number of people involved in that is down to was down to a precious few this year. And it's time to have other people now step up in the community and participate on the Star Spangled Celebration Committee and help to make that event happen, because I think some people think that they just show up at Geller Park, throw their chair on the ground, and the event falls out of the sky, and that's not what happens. It takes a lot of hard work by people in the community to coordinate that event. And if we don't have the people to coordinate the event, we don't have the event, period. I mean, there's no two ways around it. So I've told John that I'm going to try to take it upon myself, talk to people that I know, particularly that are my age or maybe a little bit older. It's time for us to step up and take the reins on some of these things that others have been doing for years and years now, or the events don't happen, and we go along. But I think that's something that all of us need to be aware of, and if we know of anybody who we think could be helpful, we need to make them aware. If you like the event, you got to make the event happen, because otherwise it's not going to. If we continue to have the handful of people doing, all that work to try to make it successful. So.
if anyone asks, the fireworks I think are scheduled for 8:30 that night.
8:30?
Because it gets darker sooner in September than it does in July, so.
You wanna have more volunteers because people are holding up traveling. With all these travel.
The next item on the agenda is the Kona's furniture.
Oh, out
They
there
went
first.
before the planning commission last week for the preliminary sketch plan approval, which they received. I wasn't there, but I guess from what John said, the store, the rendering of the store, it's gonna look pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, there were one or two items that they had been made aware of. I think just to adhere to that, in the approval, the preliminary plan approval was based on them incorporating those, but they were minors, wouldn't you say?
With significant expansion plans to the existing building, I mean, they're gonna blow out a north side of that building and push it right up against, pretty close to the property lines.
And come back.
Come back to that, it's a deep lot. And they're looking to have 30 employees there, which is 30 new taxpayers for our city.
So all the plans were approved.
Preliminary.
Yes.
They're still coming back for construction.
And they're wanting to get construction underway as soon as they can. We communicated that if they need to have a special meeting of the planning commission in order to help them facilitate their time schedule, that we have done that in the past, and we'll do that again to try to help accommodate what they might need so they can get to work. The old Carter lumber tractor supply.
That's their first venture out of Zanesville,
South Zanesville, yeah.
South Zanesville for 3 generations. So.
It's not gonna be as big as the facility there if you've been there, but it's gonna be a nice sized building.
It's good.
That one down in South Zanesville, you get lost in if you don't have somebody taking you around. That place is massive.
Even with the 2 buildings in the back.
That place down there is huge. Yeah, it's huge.
Any more comments on that? Okay, Eddie, move on to number 9.
Number 9, just kind of a quick update on 3 different projects going on throughout the city. State Route 79, the majority of that project is complete. They just have to do the milling and paving, and then after that, they have to do finish up the signage and then do the landscaping for the project. The milling and paving, they're going to wait until after Mopar to do that. That should be wrapped up the last week of August, first week of September, around that time frame. And the signage should be installed. And I believe the landscaping needs to be done later on in the fall, like in October. These plants may take better during that time of the year. This was the summer. That's kind of the gist on what's going on in the 79 project. Hopewell Drive Bridge, you guys were saying earlier, that's planned to be open this Friday. They were ahead of schedule on that project, so it does kind of change for the wall on the south side. That'll be complete this Friday.
That's the Hopewell Drive Bridge.
Yeah.
That's right.
Can we go back to, is there an estimated time of completion of everything on 79?
The actual roadway, portion of it will probably be done towards the beginning of September, beginning to end of September. And then the landscaping and the sign package will all be installed more towards the October time.
Once the final paving's done, and the striping and all of that's done, they should be able to get the orange barrels out. So they might have a little bit of minor work on the side that wouldn't impede anything. And then, as Eddie said, your plantings have to take place in October because that's the best time to do that. But once they get the final paving done and the striping and everything like that, should be able to get the barrels out of there and things should look normal.
That's beginning of September then.
They're supposed to start that final paving process beginning of next week, which is going to include some additional milling, and so it's going to take a little while. But
Will they primarily do that at night, right?
yes, they will. If it involves any lane closures, absolutely.
Okay.
The other item was the Stormwood Drive culvert. The right of way for that project has been cleared and wrapped up. We're just waiting on ODOT to get their process rolling, and we go out to bid in the next month and a half, 2 months.
Well, you know, no doubt to do that.
Just wrap up some of the paperwork. As far as the right of way goes.
Any question on any of these? Yeah, we're on number 10.
The last one is just basically a suggested topic for the street committee meeting. We received some questions about the speed limit on Liberty Drive East between Franklin and South Fork. I guess through there it's 35, and then on either end of that it's higher speed 50. We just wanted to know why it's not 50 throughout the length of the road in the city. That could be a topic that may be discussed at another meeting.
Right down here.
Irvingwick heading east, when you cross the bridge, you start going up the hill toward River Oaks. The speed limit goes from 50 to 35, and then it's 35 till you get out of the city limit there past Franklin. And the question was, why is it 35 when it's 50 on the one side and 50 on the other side?
They're driving 50 anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get a lot more
It's-
ingress egress on that
Yeah.
stretch. A lot more residential.
But the setbacks are pretty good. It's, been traveling that way a lot lately, and I find that the right speed seems to be 45. It's the natural speed. I think 50 may be a little bit much, but looking at what it should be.
Does the state set that?
Well, that was going to be my question. Eddie, do you know, who has jurisdiction on setting the speed limit there?
I think when we've gone round and round on this other part, it was us.
Okay.
Because when we went from 35 to 50, back to 50, back to 35 on this section, because we did the bike crossing and stuff like that, and everything, it was all come down to it's pretty much us, and it's actually you and the police chief and fire chief or something like that had to do with safety or something like that. Could set it.
Are the only two choices 50 or 35?
No, I think you can make it whatever you want, but I think the deal is you set it at 35, and then depending on how your police enforce it or whatever, if you happen to go 40 or 45 down that hill, because it naturally takes you and stuff like that. Now, if someone's zooming through there at 80 mile an hour, then you get them for speeding or whatever. But if you make it 50, people are going to do 55 or 60 or whatever. Naturally, it's just the way it is and stuff. So with all those houses, driveways pulling out there, I mean, most people either back out or come out on the street. I think if you got 50, you can't see far enough to make it safe.
I think really 45 should be.
I didn't think we had a vote, and they made that go back to 50.
It's federally funded, limited access piece of roadway. They mandated it go to 50. We tried to keep it at 35, and the feds forced us to go to 50. Remember that?
Are you talking about between 79 and the bridge?
No,
Yes.
we're talking about the.
Oh, yeah.
From 79.
From 79 to the
From
railroad track.
From Liberty Drive in,
Out to Amber
we tried to keep it at 35, and we were mandated to keep it at 50 because it was deemed a limited access, federally funded highway. They mandated it stay at 50. We didn't have a choice. We didn't. Now, the section beyond the bridge is our jurisdiction, as I understand from the past. So, they're driving 50 on Redwood now, 35. You make it 45, you're gonna see them pushing to 55. It's a narrow road compared to the stretch here that's 50. The concerns are you get a lot of walk traffic, believe it or not. You get a lot of
You get a lot of bike
traffic,
Yeah,
bikers.
there is a lot of bicycle
So
traffic.
you're looking at no, when you get off the pavement, it falls off quickly.
going
You
down
add
the
another
ditch.
5 to 10 to 15 mile an hour to that, you're just asking for disaster.
And that's the reason there's no sidewalks, it
Well-
drops off.
And I also think too, you know, I know this is something really that we ought to have in the street department, you know, as a topic, which I think we will. But like the bike traffic there at 35 miles an hour, nighttime, there's not enough lighting up through there.
That's
If
right.
somebody's on a bicycle, you can't see it. I know my mother-in-law lives right there.
Yeah.
I've traveled that a lot. And in the evening, when it's dark, and somebody's out there on a bicycle, which a lot of those people on Green Valley Drive, that's the only way they've got to get to work or wherever the heck they're going, is they hop on a bicycle.
Or that's the only way they've got to get onto the bike trail system.
This is true.
That's their outlet.
You know,
We've
Just put a median down.
talked about funding streetlights
Oh,
along
so
there,
much will be
and
enough
could
for
never
cars to go down.
justify that expense. Like, what, 10 grand a pop, right? We talked about putting some additional streetlights, that came before street committee years ago. Honoring, like you're talking
Yeah,
about, poor lighting,
yeah.
highly traveled, people going faster than 35
Oh, boy.
all day long.
Yeah.
So, I'm surprised there haven't been more bad incidents
Yeah.
there.
It does need more lighting. That's how I
Wasn't there a
feel.
problem, that was discussed too, and it's all, there's no place to put the daggone poles.
How does the houses that are on the north side, is their electricity fed underground? Because I don't think there's any utility poles on Irvingwick, right there.
there is.
Are there?
Yep,
On which side?
on the north side. And some of them are over on the south side.
So that, are there power lines then that run in front of Dr. Kruger's house?
Across the street.
Okay, so that's the south side.
South
The
side.
entrance, there's a big pole at the entrance to the condominium, River Oaks condominiums.
Okay.
If you ever look at that pole, there's about every utility known to man on that pole.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody ever wipes that pole out, the south end of Heath is gonna go dark. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The stuff that got on that one pole.
But that's where the electricity comes, I think. That's where
There's a
it comes.
pole on Dr. Kruger's side, because I remember it being there when we had to fix the sewer line. There's a pole right,
Is that right?
yeah, and I think at our lift station, there's a pole up on the Green Drive.
I think
So I think there is.
there's
power on
places
that
there
side.
that they could put poles if they wanted to. I just think that they just haven't. I think that's something that we will put on the agenda.
Lighting's only
for
part of it.
Streets and drainage, check into that, the lighting and the speed limits.
It's been
I
addressed
think we
before.
should go to safety anyway next to it.
Yeah, run it up the bike
Run it up the utility pole.
You can talk about it in safety. Talk to the police chief about it.
Okay.
We'll put it in here.
Okay.
You got her.
Okay, anything else? No. Anybody else have anything? Good.
Just rest.
Yeah. Over with.
Good job, Eddie. Even with us breaking your stride.
Yeah.
Good job.
These longer meetings.
Committee with streetlight funding, is that streets or is it safety?
Probably I don't know, probably streets, because street department's one that
Street
does it.
department, yeah, controls the,
You talking about 79?
you talking about traffic signals, like green lights and, is that right?
but out,
Is that what you're talking about, green lights and red lights and?
right,
Yeah,
but
that-
at
street
our end, and street, okay.
Yeah.
So people want it there.
Cause they control the, timing and such on those
Yeah,
entities.
impact machines.
they don't get much done.
If there's questions or whatever, I'm sure Bob appreciates a heads up on things so that he can try to research whatever if anybody has a question.
There's several families in Fox Run that at least one of them said they're planning on being here because of that light out there. They want it lengthened.
Coming out.
They want the light lengthened. It's set for 35 miles an hour, and you're within 150 feet of that light, it goes to 50. So
Or
you're
come
dealing
from
with-
50.
You're coming down from 50, so the light ought to be set at 50.
I see what you're
Longer
saying.
period of time.
Which
It's set
way?
at 35. Fox Run.
They're at Fox Run.
That's too bad that we didn't know Kaiser Drive was gonna extend down the connector and all that. That'd have been nice to have for them to have another way out of there.
You know, I just hope that, you know, talking about street lights and timing, you can travel, if you hit the light right on 21st Street, you can go 35 or 36 miles an hour, and you set your cruise at that, and you'll make every traffic light up almost the whole length of
Depends upon how busy the traffic is.
That's true too, but
But the EPAC machine, all of its decisions.
11 o'clock at night,
You grab someone's there.
I've done it time right now.
Well, I tell you, 30th Street messed up. A while ago, I was
Try to
going down
avoid it too much.
where Dick was. And this lady's come waltzing up Thirst going south. I'm going north. She just turns in front of me. First time I've slid in a car in a long time. Had to eat my supper twice.
Saturday morning, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember. In the morning, I had turned left onto 79 there off of Hopewell.
Every day, and I don't.
And started coming down. Some kid, there were two kids on their bikes. And these guys, like one of them was well ahead of any traffic. I was the first one in the left-hand lane. He went over the median and crossed, you know, not at a light, not at anywhere else, just crossing wherever he wanted. And his buddy on his bike goes do the same thing, comes down off that curve at the median, and I mean, I'm right there. And I look real quick in my side mirror, saw there was nobody, and I swerved. My window was down, I yelled at him. I mean,
Where was that?
on 79, just south of Hopewell.
Try 30th Street. Nobody crosses at the lights.
I mean, gee, Christmas.
There was a lady walking across it in Hopewell too, just walking across the street on the green arrow, and people were trying to run her over. At least she waited for a green, but gotta go all the way
This
down.
kid came down off the median, had no control of his bike, had no idea that anybody was driving, just not paying any attention at all.
Let's just
Oh,
pass
I
an
about
ordinance, kids
clipped
can't ride
him.
bikes in.
That's so bad.
I think everybody's got.
Everybody got one of these?
Signs says no bike crossings.
Ready for finance?
Yeah, go with it.
Okay, calls to order. First item, appropriate the Hopewell Bridge funding for benefit of Heath for auditing purposes that are expended by ODOT, $1,001,457. Questions, comments, anyone?
What is that?
Hopewell,
We have to run that
Hopewell Drive,
officially
please.
through our books because it's for the benefit of Heath.
Oh, okay. So it's none of our money, but we're running it all through. Okay.
we're gonna have a separate account for it, just to track.
No, we don't ever get the money, but for accounting purposes, because it's for the benefit of the Heath, Linda has to go to a website when they expend money in this project. She's got to show the money in, show the money out, even though she never has the money. It's insane.
Do we need legislation approved
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah.
Committee? Okay. Second item, Humane Society right-of-way, accept dedication of right-of-way from the Licking County Humane Society per detached plat.
We had a map or go pass it around.
Everybody see the plat? The right-of-way in front on Thornwood? Any comments? You already know that. Third item, transfer reimbursed fees for zoning service, which is this one, $15,000 from the general fund.
Yes.
Receive from ODOT reimbursements, transfer $10,000. Zoning architects and engineering account, $5,000 to the service building repair. Committee?
No question. That's just money that we're taking out of the general fund back in there, or is this reimbursed money from other?
This is money that came in that needs to be appropriated,
Came in.
back into the,
Okay.
From the right-of-way acquisition process on the Bower Master property. So this is money coming back to us from the state, reimbursed from the state.
Okay.
That needs to be
Okay.
appropriated.
All right.
Any other comments? Okay. You got that. Fourth item, demolition of blighted buildings agreement. Enter into an agreement authorizing the city of Newark to manage the moving Highway 4 demolition program and appropriate $60,000 to front demolition costs. Any comments on that? Okay. Got this one? Okay, last but certainly not least, resolution to indicate council's intention to establish that if the income tax increase of 0.4% passes, that 15% of income tax collections will be designated towards the capital improvement fund.
This is that resolution that I mentioned before, kind of along the same line of thinking with the resolution of the increase in the credit. Rather than just, talking about it, this would, be a commitment on paper to the voters of what our intended use for additional revenue would be should they vote to approve the income tax increase. I said, I had Kim run the numbers. I said I wanted to kind of target about $1 million a year into capital improvements. 15%, I think, is just slightly shy of that, but definitely not only in the ballpark, but probably in the infield of $1 million. So, and you never know exactly how much it's going to be until the tax money comes in, but that's what we're looking at.
So this,
Sure.
this means 15% of all tax collections.
Correct.
Not just the new tax.
That's correct. You know how we have that ordinance that says
3% goes in
right
there
now it's
now.
3%.
But we're gonna make this an additional 12% to raise it to
To
15.
take it to 15. Yeah, that's correct.
I'm
That's
sure
correct.
everybody's clear on that. Other questions and comments on that? Other items?
And Jeff, the only other item I can think of is the conversation about the other resolution with the credit. I think at Thursday's public hearing, I had communicated that I am in support of increasing the credit to taxpayers who work outside the city, to increase that by 0.4% as well, should the voters approve the 0.4% increase. So I know that those figures were left blank on the resolution. I thought that you and Deb and Brian made some good points a few weeks ago when we talked about that, and so I'm in support of that. That would increase the credit then from 1.25% to 1.65%. That's the way the resolution would read.
So you're proposing 1.65 for this?
for the credit, correct, should the voters approve the increase.
Questions, comments?
Check down here too, I think there's one other place.
There's like two places, there's three places. Three places. Three places.
Yeah, all right, that's it.
What's everyone think about that?
I was of the opinion to begin with that it maybe should have been 2 and 2, but the more that I listened to Deb's argument, the more that I had to feel that we need to go, more than anything, we need to have this pass, and if that credit will help us do it, then I think that that is a path we need to take.
I think this gives it a fighting chance.
Yes, that is, yeah, and that's the reason I've changed. I would support that.
So just so that everybody, because when we're talking to people, guys, I don't want us to misspeak. What we're saying is that if our tax rate were to be increased to 1.9% and our credit were to be increased to 1.65%, those people who live in Heath but work outside of Heath and pay a payroll tax where they work that is equal to or greater than 1.65%, they would not see any change at all in the amount of total payroll tax that's taken out of their checks. If they work in an area where they pay to the local government there less than 1.65%, they would see an increase, taking the total that they would pay in payroll tax to 1.9%. So whatever it is where they're paying right now would depend on what the increase would be. Newark pays 1.75%. Columbus pays 2.5%. I think many other parts of Franklin County are somewhere around 2% as well. So I think for a large portion of people who live in Heath but work outside of Heath, they will likely not see any increase at all in the total amount of payroll tax that they were to pay. I think Hebron's 1, I think.
Hebron's
When
1.5.
Well, that was the thing. When I pulled it up on the state information, they had actually two listed. One was 1 and one was 1.5. So I was confused by that. You can go to the State Department of Taxation website and search and maneuver, and you can get a spreadsheet of all of them. I saw that too. So I'm assuming there's, like I said, one was 1% and the other one was 1.5. I don't know if they have some other kind of a special income tax on something.
That wouldn't be a school levy tax.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. It didn't designate on the spreadsheet. I don't know. Newark has a school income tax, don't they? I could look on that spreadsheet and see if there were 2 items listed for Newark, and that might be an indication.
No, I know, you have to live in North to pay the
That's what I
school
mean.
tax.
Yeah.
In Newark, you pay 2.75.
Yeah.
In income tax. Does Lakewood schools, I'm sorry, do they have an income tax? Do you
I'm
know?
not positive. I know Licking Valley and Newark do.
Okay.
And I'm thinking when they built a new school, they might have.
In
I don't know
Lakewood?
for sure, yeah.
Lakewood,
I'm
Michigan?
not positive.
Okay. I don't know.
I think the other important part of this though is that no one will be paying less than 1.9 who lives in the city of Heath.
Correct.
So even the people who are outside of the city, they will be paying as much or more than people who live and work in the city of Heath. So I think
So those who work in Newark, those who work in Columbus, and probably many other parts of Franklin County, in total payroll tax, they'll pay more than 1.
right and have been.
So for those residents who might be retired and don't pay income tax to Heath, of course, this doesn't impact them. And those who, if we were to increase the credit as we would propose in the resolution, then many of those who work outside the city also would not see their taxes increased. as a result of this passing. Kent, does that make sense? Is that about clear as mud?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, there's so many details, you kind of get bogged down in the minutia, you know, but you gotta be precise. I mean, you don't want to say, well, everybody that works outside, none of them are going to be paying, because that's not true. It depends on what they're paying where they work right now. So
We'll handle it probably under caucus, but also do it here right now. So we're going to make it, that second blank on, or the empty blank on this is going to be 1.65,
correct.
and we're just going to read it for the first time
Yes.
tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Tim, in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks
With
we'll
the
have a
other thing,
resolution.
we'll have
and
another
then about
resolution.
The capital improvements.
There you go. Yep. Yep. Now, I don't think council needs to waive a second reading or do anything like that. If you're inclined to, just approve them both at the same time, fine. If not, fine. I don't think it matters one way or the other. We're going to have the resolutions in writing, and I would hope that they would pass. And so I would feel comfortable speaking to anybody in Heath saying that this is going to be our intention.
But I think my belief is that the 15% that's going into the general fund.
Capital
Or
improvements.
capital improvements, I mean, I think that we should waive that second reading so that when we do go out and talk to the voters, the resolution's there, we don't have to wait another meeting, you know, because the sooner we can start talking to people and.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying.
I'd rather not. I'd rather run it through the regular pecking order.
Okay.
So that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Doug. I would feel comfortable saying it to anybody, either way.
Okay.
Whether you waive it or not, I don't think it would matter.
Yeah, question for you. You'd mentioned that at 15%, that's just under $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And I thought when we did the math before, a 0.5% increase would be an estimated $1.8 million tax.
No. What we're saying is the amount of total income tax revenue that would be allocated toward capital improvements. You know how right now.
Just under $1 million, though.
No. You know how right now we have the ordinance in place where we put 3%
That's right.
of our total income tax revenue
That's right.
into capital improvements. So what I'm saying is, if we change that ordinance to 15%, if we were to get this new revenue,
Correct.
the new revenue plus all the old revenue,
Correct.
15% of that
Total.
would be almost $1 million.
Total.
Correct. Correct.
He's figuring like $6 million.
I know. I just the
Yeah,
math wasn't
yeah,
working. The math wasn't working for me in
Yeah.
percentages, but I just wanted to clarify that if we do take it to 15% total, it's going to be just under $1 million towards capital improvements alone.
That, based on the numbers that we're
Right.
kind of using to estimate this whole thing, yeah,
Right. Which is good for roads and all kinds of.
absolutely.
Especially for the roads around.
Can we discuss, I mean, have we talked about, more police officers and things like that, they had all the problems over in Southgate. And it might not be the right time to discuss it, but just kind of the residents over here, they're concerned about all the problems they were having. We only have 2 officers on patrol at one time. Should be nice to have that additional officer that would actually have time to do some patrol, and not be tied up on all the other calls that they get inundated with. So I'm just curious if that's been discussed yet.
I think that I think as I've tried to stay consistent on, and I think a number of others have as well. I think including you, the vast majority of the new money that would be generated by this, we want to try to put toward capital improvements. Now, would it be of benefit, to look at hiring if 1 or 2 new officers if it could help us augment our patrol? Certainly, and this new revenue would give us the ability to look at that. Certainly, without it, we don't have that ability. So I think you're definitely right, Brian, in saying that it would open up options for us to take a look at, either in the way of or as I've mentioned, you know, would it be beneficial maybe to hire one more person in the street department if we could focus on some of the preventative maintenance on our streets that would allow us to, you know, maybe not have to pave so often. And that might be a benefit too. So if the income tax initiative were to be approved by the voters, I think it gives us the ability to take a look at those things and as city government make decisions on can we do that and where would be best to do it. Obviously, without the new revenue, our hands continue to be tied as they are today. You know, I don't want to steal Chief Shepherd's thunder, but he and I had a meeting with the management over at Heathwood Village, and it was a good meeting. And I think that Chief Shepherd will have some good information for council on the program that they initiated with the special duty officer and that kind of thing. So I think it's been helpful. I think Chief Shepherd will provide some details on that.
Anything else for finance?
Let me just comment that Kim had a pretty significant jump in her income tax collections for July. We are now over $180,000 ahead of collections last year. That's really good news.
Yeah. About a little more than 100,000 over in July alone compared to July of last year.
Mostly in withholding.
Yeah.
That's the best place.
Yeah.
How we doing in pool revenue?
In August, it starts to slow down. Just as an example, over this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 of the 3 days where revenue coming in was in excess of $4,000. One day it was kind of lousy, it was about 400. But, you know, we had rain, storms. This should be a good year for the pool. But we need, I think, new features to keep it fresh. And so you hope you come end up the year with some real black ink and maybe can do something.
I had a citizen that asked me a question.
Oh, hey, Cletus, I'm sorry, one more thing about what Keith talked about. As Kim said, this seems to be coming from withholdings, which means more people in the city being employed, and or higher wages of those who are employed. She indicated there didn't seem to be any kind of a timing issue with businesses as far as them paying, you know, in July, something that they typically pay in August. So it was really a positive outlook that Kim expressed, and boy, we sure hope that it continues, because like I said, if you talk about withholdings, you're talking about people who are working. So.
Question for Keith on that. Does a 3-pay month have any effect on withholdings for business and stuff? Because like it was a 3-pay, July was a 3-pay for like.
I wouldn't think in the private sector it would have an effect.
You know what I mean? Because they were taking out city income tax for 3 pays for me for the July, well, so I bumped up.
This year was a leap year, which means that July 31st last year would have been on a Monday. Oh, I'm sorry, on a Sunday. So July 1st would have been a Friday. I think you'd have still had a situation potentially of 3 pays in July last year.
Well, I'm just saying, like for me, for Newark, okay, it was a 3-pay. So anyone that lived in Heath, worked in Newark, would have been 3 pays. So I would have paid into them, and you know, an an extra amount.
Yeah.
All the other months would be 222, but July would be 3.
Yeah.
So they would have got.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, in comparing July of 12 to July of 11, perhaps July of 11
It
also
wasn't
had 5 Fridays.
Yeah, but it wasn't a 3 pay for work people.
Mike,
Might
it,
have been-
it, it,
Because it rotates.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get paid one week, my wife gets paid the next week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it,
Yeah.
you know, it
yeah.
depends.
But that's a good thought. I hadn't thought of that, and that may have an effect, and we'll see how we do at the end of August.
Yeah.
And see if we
That'll
lose
be the
some
answer.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, if August jumps up too, then it didn't really, you know.
Yeah.
In other words, don't go out and spend it. Yeah.
Even if they wouldn't have paid weekly, it would have been 5.
I was gonna say there were only 4 Fridays in July this year.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's fine.
Look behind you.
There was only 4.
5 Mondays. Only 4 or 5 Mondays.
5 Mondays, but 4
Oh, yeah, but-
Fridays.
There's 5 Fridays this month.
Yeah, you're the only one that.
Oh, maybe I'm talking about June. We get paid, never mind.
Do we need to,
It was June.
do you need to have a conversation with the city auditor in Newark Kent's not writing anything.
But there's 5 Fridays this, in August.
Right.
There are a few gig with it.
Again, I worked for the 1st to the 15th.
Oh.
Got paid.
You got the full?
Yeah, maybe this body could come up with the month equalization act to make all months the same way.
We do that under home rule? Change the calendar?
Yeah.
That's something we shouldn't mess with.
Tim, you want to do caucus now or later?
Now, if you're ready.
Why don't you go ahead and give me a copy of that for Lynn, though, to the grass cutting. Cletus, do you have that?
I think I do.
Let me run that back to her.
That way she can read it, and then you think, please, she can make the.
Yeah.
Yeah, finance is over, right?
Finance is over.
All right, and caucus, while he's getting that done, who's gonna do the invocation? Mr. Morrow. Okay, everyone's here tonight. Approval minutes, selection of, under petition communications, we got the memo from John Geller about the delinquent utility accounts. That will be Mr. Morrow. And then we have the notice of liquor. Jeff, you wanna do that where we don't request a hearing? Yeah.
What exactly are they attempting to change?
It looks
I've been
like Gas
looking
America is becoming a speedway.
Yes, they sold it.
Yeah,
So
they did.
what
They
are
already
they?
has. It has already. It's a speedway.
So,
So it must be just transferred.
So it looks like transferring the liquor license from Gas America.
so all we're doing is just changing the name.
Yeah.
We're not
In
adding.
here, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, 2 and 5.
So a motion not to request a hearing.
Yeah, motion not to motion to not request a hearing.
Yeah.
That'll be you. And then the last one, the grass cutting list will be Mr. Henry. And then after we do that one, Cletus, will you do the thing, make a motion to receive and file all petitions, communications after that? That takes care of that. Visitors, we have no. You didn't hear me. Then we do the committee reports. I know we could, there's possibility we'll have reports from way back when, if you want to give them, or, you know, so some people didn't give reports different times. I'm looking at you in case you're interested. Okay. So if you're, in other words,
4-page report.
if you're given a four-page report from way back when, maybe when you start, you should say, these are from da-da-da,
Take one and pass
whatever
it
it
down,
was,
please.
you know what I'm saying? Just so people don't get confused and think we just did it tonight, or. Yeah, if you want to, you can make it a little bit briefer, or paraphrase a little bit, or just run right through it, however you want to do it, but, essentially go through it. So that'll be on all the committee reports. Introduction of ordinances, the first one, the 58 Hunter, that's for that trailer. Must let that go to a second reading. Then we go to second reading ordinances. We've got 50. So you got that one? Yeah. Johnson has that one. And then the next one, Brian has that one.
We'll do the last one.
And the next one's Johnson. Is there any question on any of those, since we're just kind of going? The last one's going to be Mr. Creed. Any questions on any of this? Okay. And then the number 12 is resolution on the first reading. That's to amend the proposed income tax increase. That has to do with the that one's the credit, right?
That's the credit.
That's the credit and everything. So that'd be and that'll be read by title. So Lynn will say the 1.65. So it'll be official.
54 stays tabled, right, David?
And that can go to a second reading.
That goes to second reading. Yeah. I really like the idea of these on second reading. That way it gets publicized more, and then if people want to comment on it or whatever, it gives them time to come in and comment and stuff.
I don't know if you all have noticed, but we've been putting on the city's website, on the council page, we put all the ordinances that are under consideration, either first or second reading, all resolutions under consideration, either first or second reading. Once they've been introduced, we put a brief description and a link where you can see the full ordinance, and then we take them off, of course, once they're no longer being considered, once they've been acted upon. But I don't know if you all have noticed that. We started doing that maybe a month or two ago. So.
All right. There's no resolution of second reading, and of course there are normal reports. And is there any new business or miscellaneous we need to talk about? Doesn't look like it. All right. I guess we can adjourn caucus until we got almost an hour.
You know, they're gonna, the women at St. Francis are gonna, the Laney Center open for lunch after my father-in-law's funeral.
Yes.
And,
Licking County Auditor. Yeah, you're grass cutting?
Gonna cater that.
Yeah, Ford. No, you're not grass cutting. You're, what are you? You're delinquent bills. Yeah, delinquent utilities.
He does so much. People don't realize how much that guy does.
I went over there to Pappy's to have lunch, and I was talking to him, and he wants to get involved with the, the Heath athletic boosters, and because he does a number of different fundraisers for Newark Catholic. He wants to do the same thing for Heath athletic boosters. Yeah.
He does a great job.
TJ Tomlinson on Alpine Circle, his son, I think a week or so ago, got married, and they had a rehearsal dinner in their backyard. JT, yeah, did I say TJ? Yeah, JT. They had the rehearsal dinner in a tent in their backyard, and Eric came and catered it and everything.
Really?
It looked like a nice setup they had. So yeah.
Well, he does a lot, I'll tell you. People don't really realize just how much that guy does.
Yeah.
Well, the milk car, you running along this strip, running through here?
Yeah. Ken, did you get the email that I sent? Okay.
Where are they going to turn around at going that way?
Where's it specifically?
Okay.
You turn it over?
Okay, the proposed route, of course, we don't control what they do, but the proposed route is that the northern turnaround will be Central Parkway. So if you're heading north, you take a left on Central Parkway, you go down Central Parkway, do a U right there before you go into the driveway of Shea House, and then come back down Central Parkway, take a right there onto 79, come down 79, and then down to Tractor Supply.
That's 15.
They've already talked to them, and they were fine with this.
Normal.
They turn in at the first entrance to the Tractor Supply parking lot, go through the parking lot, and then turn to head out this.
Is the police going to be there to stop traffic from make the left back out of 79?
I don't know.
Because I can see you get a lot of cars.
I know we're going to have some traffic control here because of what's going on at Tri-County. We want to be able to stop the road for pedestrians.
Right.
I don't know about down there. I don't know.
And you're gonna set bleachers up there in the.
That's this weekend.
We're gonna set
Yeah.
pictures up out
Think
here.
it's-
Right here. Yeah.
Sure.
Just fine, how are you?
How many seating, how much seating?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Grable. I don't know.
Good.
Jeff,
Did Brett talk to you?
My goal is 25.
Brett talked to you since
It's a
yesterday?
good goal.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
I haven't been over next door,
Okay.
yesterday, no.
Brett's got some big ideas for.
Oh, well, that's my neighbor. Big things going on.
Not using your.
Down here?
Yeah.
To do what?
He's talking about either
Oh.
grilling or doing something that, you know.
she wants to get involved with this.
Plus he's gonna do traffic control too.
Huh?
Keep the undesirables out of the parking lot, that would be nice.
The folks down at the track, they can't
I'll give you
understand
that.
why a service organization or whatever in Heath hasn't latched on to Mopar and made some money on selling shirts or selling what, I mean, they told me they're surprised that nobody's ever done that.
Well, Frisch's I think it was Frisch's was smart. They sent somebody out, took an order last year, collected the money, and then went back, got the food,
Really?
and delivered it out, but they got the money first.
Yeah, wow, yeah,
And I guess sold like crazy.
yeah, wow.
Is North
Chief
having anything?
No.
They're not having anything?
No.
That's good.
Chief Shepherd said that, I guess he was looking like on the Mopar blogs or whatever. Seems to be some positive buzz about what Tri-County's doing. They did it last year too, and they had, you know, a few hundred people over there.
What'd they do?
They're gonna have bands in front of their building. They're gonna have barbecue back there, and they're gonna provide parking over here for, like, if you're an out-of-town Mopar, I mean, if you have a Mopar vehicle, and they're gonna be able to park over there and do all that.
Rules playing powwow.
Hey Kent, by the way, tell for what it's worth, tell Mike Shear, I can't believe you guys have waited this long to charge people for online access to the paper, you know? When I'm not interested in actually receiving a piece of paper. I'm interested in what you guys write and the content that's on the paper. It's about time you guys did that. I, for the life of me, could never understand why I could get on there for free and read everything I wanted. Why would I ever buy the paper if I could do that? So, smart move.
It was inevitable.
Smart move.
I always felt offended that I paid to have a paper delivered, and if you want to go through it and read it online.
Yeah. Well, and what's more is, if something happens, say in the morning, they'll have it on the Advocate website, and it's not going to hit print edition until the next day. So I can read about it on the website before somebody that's only getting the print edition.
Now, did I read it right that there is going to be like a combo rate also if you do both?
Yeah. I got all see them.
$16.
You got your sheet of frequently asked questions and what your responses are. Go ahead, Kat. What's the sheet say?
First thing says, I don't set the policy, I just.
I just got this today. So.
$16.
And it's laminated and everything.
Right.
So.
I'm gonna have to read through this.
They don't want it to wear out.
You can go online and read the
My
dispatch
question
for
is,
free
what am I
too, though.
paying now and what am
I bet you
I
that
paying
changes too.
That's changing.
The dispatch, you can go on the dispatcher's website and read theirs for free too. I bet that changes too.
Okay, what was your question?
He asked about the combo rate.
Is there a
$16.
yeah, if you already get the print edition, is there a
Yeah,
separate?
print in
What
and
were we just talking
$16.
about here?
$8 if you just went online.
want to do those.
$8 the other. $16.
Actually, no.
That's a longer meeting.
I got the thing.
Oh,
is that right?
Just like Star Spangled.
So the subscription for the print edition is $8
Yeah, the
a
next
month?
one is not this
Oh,
week,
well,
next week.
it's like what I get now for the print and the things are $16.
Okay.
They'll get you online, it's paper, plus they
Everything
get
is
your paper
gelling.
delivered to your
My
house.
only concern
$16 a month.
Publicity.
From the
We're doing what
From
we
the
can.
Advocate. I got a letter
Just beginning to hit
Saturday.
the key on it.
They bought.
I do where they automatically take out of my checking account.
Yeah.
We're
You
just
know,
beginning.
it's like 13.43 or something like that now.
Do you tip your paper delivery person or whatever?
You can add
No.
right
Oh,
on.
gee.
You can
I
add
don't
that
know
right
who
on.
it is. I don't know who it is.
You can add right on.
At Christmas time, sometimes there'll be an envelope in the paper, and a lot of times after I've read a line, I go through it, so later when I go through, they'll send something to follow, again. Where did you get this thing? It'll be like January, February, or something like that.
On the sheet.
No, it's probably out here.
Where'd your father-in-law do that?
Newark.
Newark? Surely has to be hard.
Lived in a condo there off of Sharon Valley.
His wife did?
What's that?
Was his
People
wife
people
did?
come down and
My mother-in-law died about
3
7
kids jump out. Run
So
down-
go do the
run to the
neighborhood.
neighbors. Family delivery.
You know, it was,
You look at that.
it was one of those things, Cletus, where I thought for sure when my mother-in-law died, I didn't think my father-in-law was living too long thereafter. So the fact that he's lived this
You
long.
get 2 accounts, to go online.
Yeah,
So if you had home delivery, you could have one, you know, you could have your own to get on the, get it.
He was
Or
80
what you
years
did,
old.
I mean, you could also just have it be one, you just tell 12 other people what it is. and they get on it.
Raised six very.
That's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna charge
productive
people $1 a month.
kids
I give
in
you
our
16
society.
people and I got it free, baby.
And their kids all are as well. So
Sense of entrepreneur.
certainly tribute to him.
So you're the guy that buys the ice and sits out on the corner and sells it to your neighbor.
Buy the cube, baby, buy the cube. We got ice by the bag, we also got by the cube. How many cubes do you want today?
Went down, the daughter took her down to Florida. She had a problem. Well, we didn't know it, you know.
The camera's still on.
She was in there a week to die.
I forgot.
Can I, hit something here?
Hey, Kate, you gonna